Today's podcast is brought to you by StrongHeartAcademy.com, where no heart is no victory. We are also brought to you by BJJ To Go. If you want to build your game and learn jiu-jitsu, go to bjjtogo.com. Third thing we're brought to you by is Rat Bat. Got rats? Want to kill bats? Kill them with a rat bat. Fourth thing we're brought to you by is hot dog flavored water ingredients. If you want to add it to your smoothie, hot dog flavor ingredient. Okay, so this will be a quick one today. I was just looking over my phone and photos in my phone, and I had this photo of a passage from one of my favorite books, and I think it was 48 Laws of Power, but it could have been 33 Laws of War or Rules of War. Those are two of my favorite books ever written by the same guy. And what he does is he puts like little fables or stories in the margins in red ink, like on the side of what you are. So you read the contents of the chapter, and then there's all these little fables and stories that kind of like reinforce his idea of, and they're not his, they're taken through history from different books. But this one was one that every once in a while I take photos or screenshot of just things that I think are distilled wisdom down to a small amount. So sometimes people like overwrite, I think, just to fill pages, and the meat and potatoes of a thought. And sometimes parables are amazing for that, or fables, however you want to look at them, to really, and then you can really deeply think about that versus all like the nonsense that they add in. And this is really, this passage is about, a mindset that I struggle with all the time. Whenever I'm brought to my knees, it's like, I don't always have a bad attitude. It never stops me when something bad happens. I just keep going no matter what, because really that's just the way I'm built. But I still have a terrible attitude. So like, I'll complain every step. I'm walking through glass, but I'll keep doing it. But I'm just bitching the whole time, and I feel like that makes it harder. Like, it doesn't mean that it's not helpful. It is helpful that I have the ability to press when things are difficult. And currently, I'm having a great life, is really great. But this is still for myself. Like, I know that there's always hard trouble. Thus is life. And to constantly get myself prepared for the next difficult situation, I try to contemplate these things and think on how can I get to the next one? Because the last one was the pandemic, and I did it really well. And the reason I did it really well is because the last 4 disasters that I went through. I mean, I started Strong Heart during the Great Recession in 2009 with a limited budget, and no one helping me at the time, and I did it and jiu-jitsu wasn't a big deal in 2009. It just wasn't. There wasn't as many schools as there is now. Even the UFC wasn't as huge as it is now, and exploded and all that kind of stuff. So I've built on difficulties. I've built a resistance to difficulties. They just harden you and make you stronger. But I constantly want to learn ways of getting my mind better for the next one, because that's just life. Just life is how it is. The Buddhists say life is suffering. Jesus would say you got to carry your cross. There's always going to be someone trying to crucify you or life ill. And I'm not comparing myself to Jesus or anything like stupid like that, but I'm just saying, like, life will be hard, and there will be difficult burdens you will have to carry. And learning how to do that is a life skill, but so many people just break down. Now, like I said, I have a ability to press through, but I complain, and I don't feel like that's helpful for the people around me or myself. And the right attitude can turn around the struggle into being a challenge for yourself, and looking for opportunities when things go wrong. There's certain people that I've known in my life that when things go sideways, they're like, I think that's an opportunity that I can do this and that. I'm like, well, man, it sounds like your house just caught on fire. Like, yeah, but I could start new. I'll be moving. I'll just move. I'll use the money to move, do this, and it's just. I admire those people. Those are not me. Again, I press on, but I just wonder if it's the end all the time. So anyway, here is the story that I wanted to share. So I'm just going to read it straight verbatim so I don't mess it up. The Sultan of Persia had sentenced 2 men to death. One of them, knowing how much the Sultan loved his stallion, offered to teach the horse to fly within a year in return for his life. The Sultan, fancying himself as a rider of the only flying horse in the world, agreed. The other prisoner looked at his friend in disbelief. "You know horses don't fly. What made you come up with a crazy idea like that? You're only postponing the inevitable." And he replied, "Not so," said the first prisoner. "I have actually given myself 4 chances for freedom." And this is like, I feel like I'm the second prisoner going, "Look, man, you're going to die. Like, you're just inevitable." This other guy just is seeing opportunities for himself. And so here's his response. "Not so," said the first prisoner. "I have actually given myself 4 chances for freedom. First, the Sultan might die during that year." Which, when I first read this, I'm like, oh yeah, duh. People die sometimes. This is the way it goes. And you would be free at that point. The second, I might die, which is true too. Instead of being executed, you just might die. Get sick and die. The third, the horse might die. And that's another thing too. Like, well, so I was going to train your horse, but then the horse died. And that's even higher probability. Who knows how old this horse is? And the third one is I might teach the horse to fly. And that comes from The Craft of Power, RGHSIU, in 1979. So I'm assuming it's from a passage of another book that this guy took from. And but I just love the story. Like, I don't know if it's a Persian story or they just made it up that it happened in Persia. I have no idea who the original person is, or maybe they don't even know. It's just like a wives' tale or fable that's been passed down. I don't know any close Persian. I have a couple of Persian people I know, but I've never asked them about it. But I just like how you're being executed, you're sentenced to death. They don't explain why, but the one guy goes, "I know what I can do. I'll teach him. I'll tell him I'll teach his horse to fly." And he knows the opponent. First of all, he knows the psychology of the opponent. He knows that the guy has vanity, and because he's a king, he wants to show that he has the best of whatever. So he plays upon the guy's vanity, and then thinks about the options that might happen to free himself. The other dude is just going to be sentenced to death. That's it. Like, you're done. We're going to go cut your head off, or whatever they do back in Persia. Probably cut your head off. Well, they might have done even crazier things back then. Quarter you, or who knows. But I just love that story, and I love the giving himself more opportunities and more chances. Because I also thought, like, so the year's up, and then the horse isn't flying, obviously, and he goes, "Well, I think it's because this horse, I would imagine I would say, this horse is really not the right type. I thought I could do it, but you really need this type of horse, and I need another year with this type of horse." And then you could buy yourself a whole another year. You're like, "Hey, no, I need this brand. I need this this breed of horse. I heard they are better flyers." And he could say no, and then he's going to execute. But you just keep buying yourself time. And the fifth really is he could escape. While you're training a horse, how many guards does he have while you're training his horse? And then you escape. But I just love his thinking fast on his feet, not immediately going to doom and going, "I'm going to die." he goes, okay, what are the options here? What can I create? And not only those weren't even real options, he created those options out of absolute, which is the worst scenario for any human being, is you or your family is going to die. The things that I've dealt with in my life, nobody's dying. Um, this difficult things like losing houses and financial problems and all this kind of stuff, and family issues, and um, I've never had to go, hey, we're fighting for our life, where many people in the world have to do that all the time, every day. I'm not a refugee. I don't have any of those issues, but that mindset of just like creating opportunities for yourself out of absolute the worst scenario possible. And I challenge people and you out there, whoever listens, to when these things happen, try to think about, I don't want to say logically because I'm not even sure those are logical. Teaching a horse to fly is not logical, but trying to look for being not being so pessimistic about the outlook, and believing that the outlook could be better, and that you still are controlling your fate. And that's the other thing, like when he's in this tiny little story, there's so much there. Like he's the fate is sealed. You are going to be executed. The Sultan himself, the top of the empire, is said you're going to be executed. And somehow you took control of your own fate and gave yourself opportunities. And then that's the other thing, like opportunities doesn't mean that it's going to work, but it gives you a chance. And 5% chance is better than a 0% chance. But then he even shows that, like, where you might think that there's zero chance, I might have 4 chances. So I have multiple chances of this working out for me in my favor. And then if I was the other prisoner, I'd be like, yes, but he's going to need assistant. This is too much of work for one man. I've also known him, and I know how to teach horses to fly too. Obviously, that's not mentioned in the story. It's almost like just showing the two types of personalities within humanity. The one guy that's pessimistic, one that is not, and believes in opportunity when the others see none. And I admire those people. And again, I feel I am blessed to be able to press through difficult things, but I tend to bitch the whole way through. So, and I don't always see the opportunity sometimes. Bad things have happened to me where they were a godsend. I didn't know that at the time. I have had multiple things where I'm praying to God and going, hey, I need this to happen, and it's like nothing. And then I realize, oh man, like he saved me from absolute ruin if I did this other thing. That's like thanking God for unanswered prayers type of thing. And because some people see the bigger picture, and sometimes you get a narrow view of vision of like what's happening. And if you can step back metaphorically from the situation and see a wider view, sometimes that is useful exercise in getting through really rough times in your life. And again, it is guaranteed you will have rough times in your life. Sometimes people go look at like wealthy people and go, oh, their life is so great. Man, everyone has hard times. Maybe they have a son that has a pill problem. Maybe they have a wife that married an abusing husband. Who knows? Maybe that their business partner is cheating, stealing from them. Maybe they're about to be ruined. Maybe they're about to lose a house. You don't know other people's problems. Don't assume anyone's life is perfect, because it is not. Everyone goes through challenges. There's ups and downs. And I just think that this is a great exercise for when you're in those valleys and you're on your knees and you got to walk through glass. Maybe you can look through see some opportunities to recycle the glass that's cutting your knees and make millions of dollars recycling the glass you were forced to walk through. I don't know. That's like, lemons into lemon bars or lemon juice. Anyway, that's all I had today, and short one. But I've been really thinking about this lately, and I feel like I need to prepare myself for the next big wave of difficultness. And maybe that's also part of my pessimism, is I'm like already looking for the next difficult thing. But I just think it's good to be mentally prepared as far as physically prepared for the difficult things. And as I am the head of my household, the head of my business, I can't look around like, who's gonna do this? It's on me. So these are important mental exercises for myself that I constantly do, and I challenge you guys to constantly seek wisdom, man. Read books, listen to smart people, and dissenting opinions, and opening your worldview a little bit better. Again, I don't know if that story is from Persia. I don't know if it's a real Persian story, whatever. It's just the Sultan of Persia. But, I'm never going to probably go to Iran and study Persia. So these are, I could read a book and I can get a drop of wisdom from it. And that is super useful for me. And to think that all the answers is ridiculous. So anyway, peace, and hope you enjoy. Short one. Bye.
Let me talk for just a second, help me feel that sense of rhythm. Find the meanings in our bearings and discover this position as a stage along the way. Another rung to the ladder, either stalling or you're climbing, and I'd rather be the latter. Instead of getting fatter, let the footsteps resume naturally.